House band always knocks it out of the ballpark, no matter what you guys do. Always knock it out of the ballpark. Well, good morning, Unity Renaissance. I'm going to give you my talk today, and welcome to this sanctuary, and welcome to the people that are out there in Zoom. I want to start by talking about a book study I attended a couple of months ago, and it was about Prayer is Good Medicine, and it was written by Dr. Larry Dossey, and some of you may be familiar with him. And he says that medicine with affirmative prayer heals. And I started thinking about that. And I started thinking as I watch TV, the drug commercials come on. You see as many drug commercials as you do Brother Rudder law practice. I mean, they're inundating. So I said, well, let me find out a little bit about the pharmaceutical area. In 2018, the dollars spent on prescription drugs globally was $538 billion, which was an increase of 50% from 2010. The market experienced significant growth. In 2020, pharmaceutical revenues worldwide totaled $1.27 trillion US dollars. Now we have to give it a case. It's probably the COVID meds that kicked in at that time. Okay, but over-the-counter global sales, over-the-counter drugs for global sales was $151 billion. So I'm walking down the aisle in the drugstore or Walmart or Walgreens or CVS, and I'm saying, there are hundreds of meds that we can choose from, that we can buy ourselves over the counter, and that's not looking at the prescription drugs that the pharmacist has to give us. And I started saying to myself, what are we trying to cure, to medicate, to change, to fix, to improve with these medications? So I decided to write up a short list, and I'm sure what I say you can add. Headaches, toothache, infection, minor cuts and bruises, joint and body pains, especially when you're getting older, stomach upset, constipation, indigestion, decongestion, heartburn, COPD, allergies, asthma, diabetes, heart problems, dry eye, dry skin, hair growth, hair loss, dietary supplements for weight loss. When I was younger, I happened to stroll into a drugstore in New York. I was in my teens, and I pulled him aside and I said, do you have any weight on? You know, and he's saying, weight on, and everybody's looking at like I'm snickering down because weight on was the thing when you were undernourished, or underweight at least. But does anybody remember the TV commercial for tired blood, take Geritol? Okay, so let's not forget the meds that we take for depression, to fall asleep, to wake up, for energy, for memory improvement. We take opioids after serious injury or surgeries to moderate the pain, and then we take meds to get over the opioid meds, right? There's always something. And, not finished yet, we get vaccinated to be immune to smallpox, polio, tetanus, whooping cough, pneumonia, measles, diphtheria, chickenpox, shingles, the flu, and now COVID. TV commercials are notoriously showing us these beautiful little shorts about how people look beautiful and they're on vacation and they're having a good time if you take these meds. But when it comes down to the side effects, it goes double time, short period, and you never really get to hear it. Pharmaceutical companies are worth something. They do research, development, production, distribution of drugs for our psychological and physical health. And I'm grateful for the medications that are made available to us. But Mary Baker Eddy, who is the founder of Christian Science, says, health is not a condition of matter, the body. Health is a condition of the mind, okay? So if we take meds for a healthy body, we should be taking meds for a healthy mind. So I ask, Did you take your meds today, your M.E.D.S, your meds? Did you take them today? Wait a minute now. I'm not pitching the sale of snake oil that cures all that ails you. However, I am representing spiritual mind treatment, and here are the meds that I recommend for a healthy spiritual mind. First of all, for M, I start out with meditation and / affirmative prayer. Meditation is to awaken us to the awareness of the God within, the certainty of our oneness with the whole. There is no separation. And if you read the Bible, in the beginning was God, and with God was the Word, not God and. So there's only God. Meditation expands our capacity for expands our consciousness and increases our capacity to intuitively receive the guidance of spirit. And I know that because when I was struggling on what I'm going to talk about, I had to sit still and say, okay, here I am, spirit, download. And it comes. It does come. If you just ask, it comes all the time. It brings peace and harmony and heightened sense of love in my life. When I'm in meditation or prayer, I'm feeling so elevated, I'm in the upstairs of my consciousness. You know, sometimes you're in the basement, but I'm in the upstairs of my consciousness. And meditation, we become knowers of truth, that there is no separation, there's only one. Under the M, I have mindfulness. Well, being mindful is spending time with spirit in meditation, naturally, being intently aware of what I am sensing and feeling in every moment, being non-judgmental, but being curious and kind. Being mindful allows me to discern if the thoughts I'm having are mine, or am I unconsciously attracting the collective consciousness or groupthink from the outside sources? For instance, like my family, my friends, newspapers, website, TV, radio, podcasts, so on and on and on. When I start judging or engaging in what I call stinking thinking, I have a consciousness cop. And that cop pops up and says, stop in the name of love before you hurt yourself. Thoughts are things, and we attract what we think about. So we have to watch what we think about. Let me go to affirmative prayer. In Larry Dossey's book, Healing Words, he says, experiments have shown that prayer, in fact, positively affects high blood pressure, wounds, heart attacks, headaches, and anxiety. It also is shown that the thy will be done approach was quantitatively more powerful than when specific results were held in the mind. A simple attitude of prayerfulness seemed to set the stage for healing. Now, I have an experience with that. In 2021, I had a friend that I did Tai Chi with at the Botanical Gardens. I ushered with his wife at the Sandler, so we became friends. And when I had knee surgery, they were there to support me, bring me food, take me out, just wonderful. He lived in Virginia Beach. He was an ex-Navy SEAL, so he'd been around and been through a lot of military affairs. He needed open heart surgery. Well, the COVID time was interfering with his scheduling, but he got so bad that he had to go ahead and have the surgery. It didn't go well, and they had to leave him open, and he was in Centera Heart IC unit for almost 3.5 months. But here's the thing. I would always get a text every morning with his blood pressure, with what was happening with the fluids in his body, what his blood count level was. So I was doing prayer against those things. I had slipped into the basement, and I was praying about let his blood pressure go down, let this go up. And all of a sudden I realized after a while, wait a minute, stop. It's about what is his highest good, not about these issues that were happening, and I was getting them daily in a text. And I realized that I can't look at that text and read about what's happening with him physically. It was about his highest good. Now, yes, he did transition, but that was it. I spoke a couple of months ago about if a caterpillar came to me for prayer to stay as a caterpillar, we'd never see the butterfly. So we have to allow what's the next best order for that person, that individual, to translate. So that's my story about my military friend. I do an affirmative 6-step prayer. It used to be 5 for us at Science of Mind, but it's a 6-step prayer. And I'll tell you what it is. We start out with gratitude for what is good right now, being grateful. And I'm going to tell you, when I do that, gratitude lifts my consciousness to another level so that when I go into recognition that God is all that there is, and unification that if God is all there is, then we are all one with it, then I'm feeling like I'm floating on that higher cloud. And then my realization, the quality and back of the form. With this friend that was the military, his name was Jake, it's not about what was happening on the physical. It was about knowing that God is all that there is, and he was one with it. And if it was time to transition, then it was time, but it was his highest good. And I have to tell you a story about that. Then I go into thanksgiving for the truth be spoken that I've spoken, and I release it into the law of divine activity. And I usually say that. Now, a couple of weeks after Jake made his transition, I've been dreaming about people that are dying. I don't know why they keep coming to me in dreams. I was dreaming that Jake was sitting on my bed, and he was laughing and happy. And I was going through a nervous breakdown because what are you doing in my bed? So, thank God it was a dream because, his wife is my friend, and you're in my bed. And I woke up, and I'm so glad to, and he wasn't. It was, Okay. Let's go on to E. Do you exercise daily? Being active is proven to have many health benefits for us physically and mentally. But I want to go to environment, my physical environment. Your home should be your sanctuary supporting your spiritual growth. You should be grateful, or at least I'll tell you my story. I am grateful each time I walk in my front door. I am free from bombs that we know that somebody is going through. I'm free from fires, from the flooding, from hurricanes, from tornadoes, and earthquakes. Now, I was living in Santa Monica during the 1994 earthquake. There was a 6.7. That's a very powerful earthquake. I had an N-unit townhouse with a loft, so that means my ceilings were high. That earthquake hit at 4:30 in the morning, and it was a punch up, so it knocked me out of bed, but it wrecked my place. It snapped the hot water pipe because it was rigid and not flexed, so it broke in half. The place was flooding. It warped the sliding door track. It shattered mirrors on the wall, turned the refrigerator over, et cetera, et cetera. It wound up being about $25,000 to redo that unit. But the point is that when you have a 6.7 earthquake, you have thousands of tremors afterwards. I slept in the hall of my home in a sweatsuit with a bag ready to run because you never know what's going to happen. I am grateful when I walk into my little house flat on the ground. I'm grateful when I go in the winter and the heat's on. I'm grateful when I go in when the summer, when the air conditioner is feeling. I'm grateful that my energy is there, that it wraps me in a cocoon. And if you're not feeling that, you need to get your environment together. You need to put your place there. Put an altar in a corner somewhere. Let that be the place where you do your meditation and your prayer work. Put spiritual artifacts on your altar that make you feel good. Plants, put a candle. But do something so that when you walk in, you say, thank you, God. I am home, because I do it, and I'm telling you, it is the best thing. I'm in prayer when I'm in my house. I just stay in that upper consciousness. I like to call it the upper room. I'm recommending it. It's the best thing. Let's go to D, diet. Do you nourish your body and hence your soul? The AMA recommends plenty of fruits, vegetables, with a portion of grains and protein, and I'm trying to learn that. But if challenged with weight gain, meditate, pray on it. I pray on everything. The spirit within can and will guide you, but we must do the work. Now, maybe it's noon that it guides you to. Maybe it's Weight Watchers that it guides you to. Maybe it's bypass surgery. I don't know. But whatever it is, take it to prayer. Go into meditation and feel it out. And don't forget water. I have a tendency to forget water in the winter. Our bodies are 60% water. We should be drinking 60 to 90 ounces of water. I think I drown, but per day, or whatever's recommended for your age and your sex. But let's move on to divine mind. In the Science of Mind textbook, Ernest Holmes describes divine mind as, there is no such thing as your mind, my mind, his mind, or God's mind. There is just one mind in which we all live, move, and have our being. Mind and spirit are one and the same. Now we know that God uniquely expresses itself in every living thing, and it never duplicates any of its creations, not even in a snowflake. Our unity salute, which we said today, is, the divine in me greets the divine in you. Do you greet the divine in the people you meet outside of unity? They may not look like you. They may not share the same culture, beliefs, or party affiliation. But we are all one of the same one divine mind. Last Friday night, we had a film by M.E.D.S called Becoming Nobody. And he advised us to treat everyone you meet like they're God in drag. I think he's trying to say that the God in me or the divine in me greets the divine in you, even though there's somebody out there and you don't like what they're doing, because there's only one of us here, and that's God, don't forget. We don't have to like what's happening. We don't like what's happening in Ukraine and what's happening between the presidents, but God is there, and we have to know that. So the last part of M.E.D.S is service. Paramahansa Yogananda was an Indian Hindu monk, yogi, and guru who introduced millions to teachings of meditation. And he had in Southern California a self-realization center, and I used to go up there and sit. It was beautiful to just be in that space. But he says, life should be chiefly service. Without that ideal, the intelligence that God has given you is not reaching out toward its goal. When in service, you forget the little self, you will feel the big self of spirit. So let's talk about sacred service. That's meditation in action. Desire to be of service, asking nothing in return, it's its own blessing. And Chris mentioned that I volunteer. I've been a volunteer at the Chrysler Museum for almost 20 years, with kids coming in, with adults coming in. The research and the planning for a tour, it takes time. I'm on this, my library is full at home of books, and your internet work, it takes a lot, but I love doing it. It is a service, and there is nothing that you need in return. Sacred service is selfless giving of your time and your talent. Be open for Spirit to use you for service to the community and to the planet. We don't just do sacred service here at Unity, it's everywhere. Yeah, I probably do less service here than I do out there. Spiritual community, AKA Unity Renaissance, allows for fellowship with like-minded people who support you for your highest and greatest good. Okay, M.E.D.S was talking about freedom. He says we have to allow people to be free in order for us to be free. Well, you know, everybody out there is not going to support us for our greatest good, but we know how to go within and realign ourselves with that inner spirit. We know how to go into our sanctuary and beast and leave all of that outside. That's why we need a sacred sanctuary to be able to go into. When the rough gets going, we can come home and we have our space that nourishes us, that lifts us, that keeps us feeling centered and in tune with the infinite. This is what our life is about, being in tune with the infinite. Support your spiritual community. As we mature in our understanding of the law of circulation, we realize our financial resources, talents, and skills are at the heart of tithing, supporting our church's mission. And as we said today, the church's mission is to transform lives that transform the world. We have to support that. That's what our financial resources are. And you know something? If you bless every dollar, every check that you spend, it comes back triple, 4 times over. Years ago, when I was making $330 a month in Santa Monica, I was a clerk. This was way back in the 60s. And I was on the cusp of getting involved with science of mind. And Hornaday was alive at the time, and he was talking about, people want to be a millionaire, but they can't even embody. How can you attract what you can't embody? You can't. And I said, well, no, I don't think $1 million, but I think I could embody $50 more a month. Do you know within a month they did a reevaluation of the jobs and I got that $50? And I said, oh, I was on a roll. I'm going to tell you, I practiced that. I retired at 55. I earned more retired than I ever did working. So I feel like this stuff works. I'm sharing with you things about me that I know works. I blessed every check before we stopped writing checks. Every check that went out got blessed. I stopped thinking about, my bank statement says I only have this. I don't want to live down to what I have. I want to live up to my potential. I want to live up to knowing that Spirit is there to support me, that my outflow can never exceed my inflow. That you have to work on in your meditation, in your prayer work. You sit still and you embody that consciousness. That's what attracts this to you. If you can't embody the consciousness, you can't have it, folks. Okay, so spiritual study. At every stage of growth on the spiritual path, we must maintain a beginner's mind because spiritual truth is limitless. We can never plumb the depths of spirituality. We don't have a clue. We're just scratching the surface right now. We're just trying to continue to figure out, is Christianity real? Is it expanding or is it contracting? Are we becoming more against other religions? Everybody is out for the same thing, all religions around the planet. They're all trying to grow and expand and get closer to that at one minute. Practicing the presence is our key. Spiritual study increases our level of understanding and accelerates our spiritual evolution. So, if you haven't taken your spiritual meds today, I suggest you try some of these for healthy, pain-free spiritual growth. They are addictive, but they do not create negative side effects. They are available without a doctor's prescription. And being a very generous spiritual oil salesperson, if you will, I'm offering these meds to you, and for today only, they are free. Namaste. So, before we go into meditation, I always like to do a little prayer. All right. How grateful I am to be here into this sacred circle. How grateful I am for that wonderful energy that has flown in and around and through me. I am thanking you for being here, for being with me during this journey of giving this talk. And I know that God is all that there is. It is the one presence, the one power, circulating in and everyone. We are all one with this magnificent isness, shot from the mind of God into each and everybody that we see here. knowing how wonderful it is to know that God is our life. I realize and know that this church continues to expand and grow. We have a beloved ministers in Reverend Paula and Reverend Richard. We have the house band that rocks us out. We have people volunteering here to keep the services moving, the popcorn coming, everything that we need for that wonderful Friday night movie. We have the bookstore that's open to us. We have the people that are running the camera, the PowerPoint, the Zoom. How lucky can we be? This is our sanctuary place, and I'm glad to be standing here feeling this marvelous energy that is surrounding each and every one of us. I bless each person that has called in for prayer, who is going through psychological, physical changes, knowing that anyone and everyone is in their highest consciousness because God is all that there is. There is no acknowledgement of anything outside of the perfection of the power and the presence that created all of us that are here now. And as I release this word into the law of divine activity, I know it cannot return void. I have said it indeed, and so it is. And let's now go into our statement, our sense for prayer, for meditation. And as we bring our attention back to this room, we're so grateful to spend that moment in time with the infinite.
Flow, Spirit, flow through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding peace. Show, Spirit, show through me as I open up to be an expression of your unfolding love.
Namaste.
Thank you so much, Ardell. Of course, we weren't expecting anything less, Wonderful talk this morning. So let's get in that place that Ardell was referring to. I loved what you said, something about lifting ourselves